if you always wanted to know how to get the most out of your single coil Stratocaster, this video might be for you. Hello Guitar Junkies, this is Marcus Deml. A warm welcome. I'm gonna talk you and take you to all the possible invisible modifications that you can do to a Fender Strat. The goal is to have a well-oiled machine, a Formula 1 guitar that gives you all the sonic aspects of a wonderful Stratocaster, improves playability and tuning stability. Of course, as the title promised, I'm gonna show you the amp setup and the two pedals that I'm using, which is the Angry Gorilla Distortion, and I'm also using a Strymon timeline on the tape delay setting. So let's get into it. Modification number 1. Raise your string height, or action as Arnold Schwarzenegger would call it. Raise your action. The reason being, if you have a low action, of course it's great for playing quick, but you have less dynamics and your tone is just a lot smaller, so to speak. You don't need to get, let's say, a bottleneck kind of action, but you know, the goal is not to have any kind of buzz, even if you do those big bends that I like to do. No fret buzz, and you should be able, despite a vintage radius of 7.25, to bend a perfect fourth on the bass string. That is the goal. Here's modification number 2. You need taller frets for this. The vintage fret sounds great, but well, it's gonna hold you back probably. So there's two kinds of frets that I would suggest. Either tall and narrow, that is the 6105, or tall and wide, which is the Dunlop 6000 or 6100. Now, these have a significant sound difference. Narrow, more high-end, wider, more mid-range. It's just as simple as that. So if your guitar is too bright, well, go with the Jumbo. If it's not bright enough, well, go with the 6105 and you probably be a lot happier. As far as tuning is concerned, the frets should be leveled and they should also come to a point for better intonation, even the wide ones. So let's move on. The nut, of course, is one of the main causes of tuning instability. I do prefer bone because it's a natural lubricant. The next very significant point is the string tree. You can see on this guitar that the only string that is under the string tree is the B string. The reason I can do it is because my tuners are a bit staggered, and they're my favorite tuners because they sound like the old Clusen tuners, they look like them, but you can lock them either with the coin or a screwdriver. Next is the tremolo. Next to the wood, this is the biggest sound source. This is more important than the pickups, ladies and gentlemen. So I believe that the Fender trem, the vintage trem with 6 points, is the best sounding one. Of course, there are other trems that keep tuning a lot better. So in order to avoid that, I use the well-documented setup where you can raise the G string a minor third, the bass string a whole step, and the high E string a half step. So it's a free floating setup. The screws starting from the A string going up to the bass string are a little bit more loose than the two outside ones. So you have a nice and smooth action. And also it's quite important that the bar doesn't have any play. So you can use some kind of cord or a piece of tape, whatever it is, but you don't want this thing to be wiggling inside the cavity. Because, well, it's going to cause you more tuning problems. Now the subject you've probably been waiting for, the pickups. And before I try to sell you my signature pickups by Klopman, the Blue Poet set, I'm going to do something very stupid and tell you that the most important thing is that you adjust the height of the pickups. The goal is that you have even volume. The worst thing that could happen is that the bridge pickup, which happens on a lot of Strats, is super low in volume and sounds like a telephone. So therefore, on my pickup set, we have a super low neck pickup, which is maybe 5.5K, and here we have 6.3, 6.2, something like that. And as you can see, they differ in height. And once again, I do this by ear. Next mod that everybody does, since Eric Johnson told so in Guitar Player of 86, I think it was, which is a wonderful issue. I always wire the bridge pickup to a tone control. So one tone control only works for the bridge pickup, so I have a better balance. I always use a reversed middle pickup. Now, if you don't have a reversed middle pickup, you can do it just with a very strong magnet, and if you have never done it, maybe a qualified repairman should do it. But you can do that, reverse the polarity with the magnet. And that's about it. Oh, I should also say, in order to avoid noise, there's copper shielding inside the guitar. So, now the amplifier, surprise, surprise, it's a 100 watt Marshall. And I set it to a light crunch tone. Once again, it's my favorite setting. Everything is set to noon, but I'm in the low treble input. The low treble input just gives me the clarity because I want to play chords. I just don't want to rock out the whole time. Of course, all the distortion is coming from the Angry Gorilla, my signature pedal. And this pedal was designed so it turns a simple man amplifier like this basically into a high gain machine. And as I said before, my thing is not to have a high output pickup. I just like low output pickups and get the gain from this pedal. The only other effect that you are hearing today, ladies and gentlemen, is a Strymon timeline delay, this time on the delay setting, and I have a tiny bit of reverb coming from the board. And that's it. So, summary. Everything is very simple, but set up your guitar and your amp pedal effect setup in a simple way, but in a way that might be just great enough for the Formula One. So you can play, you're in tune, you can control the hum, you can bend like crazy, you get a clean tone, you get a high gain tone, and you get some ambience. And that's about it. And it's not that hard to do. And most of these modifications don't cost any money. The setup is so simple that it's affordable too. This is just a regular Strat. This is a Dan Smith Strat from '82. You can get these for like $1,500. The pickups are expensive, I admit that, but they're hand wound. Get an Angry Gorilla, get a Marshall, get a timeline. You're good to go. One last thing, because there were some complaints in some of the videos. Not about my looks, because, of course, how could that be? Everything is mic'd. It goes to a 4x12 cabinet, a Marshall cabinet, and that is loaded, here it is, with vintage 30s. Celestion, that is. That is my favorite speaker. And that's about it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit the subscribe button, follow me, support the channel. Oh, check out my new Tome and Gear page. Yes, I'm going to link it below, right next to the Angry Gorilla, my summer workshop. I'm rambling because I'm a happy guitar player. This was Marcus Deml. Love and peace.